Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Semir, the CEO and co-founder at Salesmotion.io. Hello,
Hey, Christian, great to meet you.
great to meet you. Thanks for joining the podcast. First of all, tell us what is Salesmotion.io.
Yeah, sure. So Salesmotion.io is my own company. We started at the beginning of the year to help sales teams automate account research and really compress the time it takes them to understand what is going on in their customers' world and help them sell more effectively to them at any given point in time.
What's the biggest problem that you solve for salespeople?
Well, if you think about salespeople, when they start of the year, they get 100 accounts, a big quota, and it has go sell. We help them compress the time where they can take action and they
Okay.
show up more relevantly in front of their customers because typically it's such a manual process. Many tabs open, reading the news, reading job specs, browsing on LinkedIn. We compress that time drastically so they can go to action quicker and sell more effectively.
And how does it work basically? So a
Yeah.
salesperson has the tool and how does it help?
Yeah, so we're really focused on creating a plug and play, easy to use tool for sales reps. I think if
Okay.
anything, sales reps have been overwhelmed with many tools and it's hard to use many of them too. So we create a very easy platform where the reps just plug in their accounts
Mm-hmm.
and then we go do the research that they would do. We go find the news, we go find the earnings calls, we go find the jobs, we go find the website information, and then we take it through our automation and AI and curate for the sales rep what he or she needs to know about this account. What is important? How does your value proposition map to challenges that they may be facing? And it really helps them get to action faster rather than them opening 20 tabs and setting up many alerts and trying to get up to speed on their accounts.
What do you say are the top features?
Well, there's quite a few things, and we're still an early company. We're learning with every customer, I would say. And I think what people really love is that it's just easy to consume. None of what we do you couldn't somehow get by investing the time and effort. But the thing is,
Okay.
it just takes time, and reps don't have the time. So when you don't have the time, you just don't do it. And I think what people love is just that single view of what is going on in their target accounts, that they can go after them effectively. I think that's the big one. The kind of it's the culmination of it rather than a specific small thing that's in the platform.
And what information can they see about the target account?
Yeah, there's lots of information. I mean, I usually look at some of the accounts that when I talk to our prospects and I say, look, hey, here's a company. Here's what the CFO has said in the earnings call. A quote from the CFO. Here's who they are hiring. So you can see that they are hiring in a specific department, and you can see what it maybe means for you because we look at the descriptions of the jobs and we say, hey, look, this team is hiring because this person probably will solve this challenge. And then we highlight to you key people in departments who you should probably target with the messaging that we can help you craft more quickly with SalesMotion.
That's amazing. And how about the pricing? How does it work?
Yeah, pricing is interesting. We're also still experimenting with some in some ways, but pricing is quite straightforward when we look at number of accounts. Right, it starts at a couple $100 for a couple of accounts, and then as you get more accounts, it gets more affordable, of course. But we price it around number of accounts rather than number of seats. So some of our customers they might have 1 or 2 thousand accounts, but they have many people use it, not just sales reps. They have the sales engineers use it to understand how they want to demo effectively, the SDRs for their outbounding. Leaders come in for the meeting
Yeah.
prep. They jump into these different deals, the leaders, like, who's this company? What's
Hmm.
going on there? I see the CRM data, I see the opportunity size, but what is the company? And they go into sales motion to get up to speed in 2-3 minutes, see the key things that is going on at the company and how they can probably have a more effective meeting with sales motion.
An account is defined as a company, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we say kind of account, a target account for a sales rep. Exactly. So you would have, Sarah, she's a sales rep, she has 50 accounts, Okta, MongoDB, and
Yeah.
whatnot. And so these are the accounts we provide insights on.
Uh, have you find any industries that are a fit for your product? I mean, do you see any use cases?
Yeah, I mean, we got about 30 customers right now globally as well, in the US, UK, spread across Europe. So that's been interesting. Industry wise, I think we're probably split between a few key ones. A lot of them
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
tech software. That's a key industry for us. I think also for my background, I was at Salesforce, I was at Clary, now I'm doing this. So my network is just there, and a lot of my former colleagues or customers have signed up with us. But also
Nice.
we see a good sweet spot in consulting. That's quite interesting. But consultants, when they have a very specific offering or service and they are targeting these big companies that they want to
Okay.
go after. So these are the two main ones. And then, yeah, there is an odd manufacturer here and a marketing agency there. So that's also interesting. And we're learning. I think we have an idea of ICP, but we're also still in learning mode very much.
Yeah. I'd love to know the founding story of the company and when exactly did you start it?
Yeah. Well, it's a bit of a fluid thing, but I would say formally, really 7 months ago, at the beginning of this year, we started going full time with the company. So I was at Clary until November. Then I moved back to Switzerland with the family. So that I definitely wasn't working too much on the company, but much more on packing and unpacking. And then at the beginning of the year, we started. We're fully bootstrapped, which is probably interesting to some of the listeners
Nice.
here. So there's no angels, there's no VCs, there's no big family fortune that we are going to tap on. It's really just our savings and then building a company as quickly as we can and getting customers as quickly as we can to fund it. And when I say we, it's my co-founder and CTO, Jose, and myself. So it's just the two of us doing this. And it's been a fun adventure so far, doing this really bootstrapped with a really frugal and efficiency-driven mindset. And that's the background of the company. And so far, so good, I would say.
So happy for you. And I wanted to ask that when you say we, who is the we? How many co-founders? So it's two co-founders.
That's right.
And I guess you also have some collaborators or people around.
Well, not really. No, it's really just us. I mean, so what do we have? We obviously have customers. They're our biggest advocates, and they help us, sell more because they
Yeah.
talk to others about Salesmotion and the great experiences they have. I mean, I just had this morning somebody who wants to become a customer because they talk to somebody else, which is fantastic.
Nice.
And yeah, it's just my CTO and I. The interesting thing is, amongst the two of us, we have all the skills we need. Maybe not perfectly, but we kind of have all the skills we need from marketing, sales, customer success to front end, back end, AI. We can cover everything. We're not experts in all of the areas, but as a founding team, there's no major gap.
Nice.
And that's, I think, really good. And with modern tools, you have all these AI tools, you have great, Canva, you have, ChatGPT that can help you, you have Zapier, you have all these great tools that can help you automate stuff and do a lot with not so much expertise sometimes. I mean, like my website, it's not perfect, but I did it in HubSpot and it works perfectly. It is great. And the same thing for many other things. I think you can do a lot with just two people. So yeah, we're truly just a team of two when it comes to the company building.
What are the most helpful tools for you as a startup? You said HubSpot, you said Canva, you said ChatGPT. Any other that you want to mention?
Yeah, I mean, our communication runs through WhatsApp. Just me and my co-founders. That's very, very straightforward. What are our biggest tools? I use Hotjar. I'm a big fan of Hotjar. They're now part of Content Square, which is a French-based startup. So I use that to look at what the users are doing. I use Amplitude to analyze the metrics. Because again, as you're winning first customers, it's critical to understand where are they getting value, where are they not getting value, what do we need to do better. So the analytics is really important for us. Personally, I mean, I use LinkedIn a lot. I mean, it's free. I mean, I just use the free version. I'm a big fan of LinkedIn in terms of networking, building the brand, helping drive inbound through my posts and through my engagement. That's the biggest acquisition channel. We don't do any outbound, no marketing dollars. I've spent, I think, £100 on some leaflets a couple of months ago for a conference. That's the only marketing spend I've really had. But these are some of the key tools, I think. Yeah, so it's not that many tools that we use, but these are some of the key tools that we use that they work quite well. And I'm always experimenting with other things that I could try out.
Again, you are the first one. I wanted to ask you, how did you find your first customers? But you already mentioned through inbound, basically network, posting on LinkedIn and attracting customers, right?
Yeah, that's the biggest one. So with the very first customer, we even won before we had the product. This was a person who was leading sales for a manufacturing company in Europe. And basically he said that, he needs that intelligence around who wants to be more sustainable in my target accounts, who are the key people that own the sustainability department and so on. And he saw that on LinkedIn. I said, I'm leaving. And I talked with him about the idea a little bit beforehand. And he said, are you starting this thing that you talked to me about? And it's like, yeah, that's the thing. Oh, is it ready? He said, yeah. We have an early product. We didn't have anything. And I said, oh yeah, how much is it? And I was like, this much. He's like, okay, how do I pay? Like, oh. And then I created very quickly a Stripe payment link.
Stripe, yeah.
And then he signed up. And it was like, fantastic, we got our first customer. And over the weekend, we built basically the first version of that product to show him on the Tuesday, the week after. And that was the first customer. So we sold that even before we had somebody
Exactly.
or had some product.
Yeah, I love that mindset, and it's a crazy story.
Yeah, it is a bit crazy. Startups are crazy, and that's definitely one of the crazy stories.
You said you worked at Clary before. I want to walk through that story later in the episode. But what motivated you to start Salesmotion?
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at my background, I always started in Accenture, doing tech consulting, then Salesforce, which was great fun, and then Clary, building that from scratch in Europe over 4 years, which was a great adventure, I think. And then I was looking at, what's my next challenge? Like really a big challenge, not just executing more, which Clary was a really well-run machine at the point that I left. I said, look, this is working, this is great. And it's still fun, it's still hard work. But what's the next thing where I'm going to do something I've never done before and grow? And I couldn't see myself doing anything but starting a company. And it aligned well with my co-founder as well, who was ready to start a company as well. I said, look, why don't we just do it? We worked for 10 years or so. We have some savings. If in the first year we start making money with the company, it'd be great. And then this can work, bootstrapped. And so basically that was the thing, like seeking the next growth challenge and timing that aligned. How
did you meet your co-founder?
That's a good one. Yeah, I met my co-founder. It's now, I think, 13 or 14 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And he's from Spain. He's still based in Spain, just outside Madrid. And I'm here based just outside Zurich. And so the way we met was during, there was Erasmus and student exchanges. So it's when I was studying in my undergrad here in Switzerland. And we did an international student week. And students came from everywhere, from Sweden, Spain, France, Hungary. And they came into Switzerland, and I met him there. And he was part of my project group. We're 5 students, 2 Spaniards, one lady from Poland, and me. And we just stayed friends ever since, the people in that group. And yeah, that's basically how I met him. And we stayed in touch, and the time was right to start a company 10 years later, or more than 10 years later, 12 years later.
That's amazing. That's amazing. What did you say was your biggest challenge since starting the company?
Well, the biggest challenge, I mean, there's a lot of challenges. I think there's probably more challenges than anything when you're starting a company. I think the big one is for sure prioritization. And it's a challenge that, you never get fully right. There's always a million things you have to do as a CEO as well as a CTO. And it's constantly, will this move the needle? Will this activity, will this podcast I'm recording right now, will this thing I'm going to do after the podcast, is this the right investment of my time?
Yeah.
And you don't get it always right, but you constantly have to reflect and try to get it right. And I think that is a big challenge. That for sure is a big challenge. So yeah, that's a big one. And it's starting from day one you start, and I think it never really stops.
What is the vision for the future?
Yeah, the vision for the future, it's a good question. I mean, we're 7 months in, it's going well. We've got about, 30 customers across the world, and they're getting tons of value, which is great. I think it's just keep growing. I mean, there's a few tactical things we're doing with the company, which is, integrated with Salesforce, becoming an official partner, driving more value like that, seeing what works really well and doing more of that. But it's really to, achieve profitability, full profitability with the company. We're almost there. We've got a few more things to do to get there, and then just grow it and see how far we can take this, just the two of us. That's our personal challenge. Can this be a 100K company? Can this be $1 million company? Can this be a $10 million company? And we really want to see how far we can push it, just the two of us. And I think that's the vision, to just kind of push our limits and see how far we can get.
But you want to hire some people in the future?
Well, not want to, but if we have to, we will.
Yeah.
Ideally, if we don't have to, we won't.
Yeah, of course. And about funding, I guess you want to stay bootstrapped.
That's right. If we can, we'll stay bootstrapped.
Why?
Well, bootstrapping keeps you in control of everything you're doing all the time, and gives you much more optionality down the line as well. If, let's say, somebody comes along and wants to do a strategic acquisition, because I think the insights we provide on these target accounts for salespeople can be useful in so many other tool sets or products. I think it's tremendous. I think because a lot of these tools are very kind of empty. There's just the data you put in that's there, and then they're missing the outside in perspective. like a CRM, just the
Yes.
data in there is just what you put in. There's nothing else. It doesn't tell you if they hired somebody, if the CEO said something on a podcast, or if it's a press release that signifies something relevant. And I think there's a lot of these. And by bootstrapping, we keep optionality to say, hey, there's somebody who wants to acquire this company. It's fantastic. But also we get to shape our lifestyle. I'm taking a week off next week. I'm taking a holiday. There's no VC who's bothering me. There's no board. And I just have to agree with my co-founder. Hey, look, I'm away next week. Are we good? I was like, yeah, we're good. I was like, great.
Right.
And if we want to change anything else, we can. And that's the beautiful thing about bootstrapping, I think.
And do you see a potential buyer being a CRM, integrating Salesmotion into the CRM?
Yeah, we're really focused on just building a great platform right now and getting as many customers as we can. I've been in this space for a long time, and this is a gap I've seen because people do this manually. And people I've worked with, they had all the tools, everything from A to Z. They had everything. And yet they do this, what we are doing with Salesmotion manually, no matter what tools they have. You can look at them and it's like, why are you manually looking at the blog post of the company to understand what is important to them? Like, why are you manually looking through the press releases? Why are you manually reading the earnings transcript? And so it's a pain no matter what tools you have. So any of these sales tools that tries to help sales reps be more effective and more relevant when they're talking to their prospects and customers, they could benefit from what we have. So I'm sure there is ways that companies could enhance their tool stack with this, but we're not relying on it. We're just focused on building a great company. And if something comes along, we'll definitely entertain it. But for now, we're just building and selling.
What did you do at Clary? What was the experience? Walk us through the journey. Or no, I think it's better to walk us since you started after college.
After college, okay. I'm getting older, so the story gets longer.
No worries.
Yeah, it's great. So, obviously I started at Accenture, as I mentioned, in Zurich. And that was when I first kind of was exposed to Salesforce and tech consulting on Salesforce because I was in the Salesforce practice and did a few great projects with global companies, global multinationals. I learned a ton, worked with some amazing people. And after a few years, I wanted to go abroad. And so I went to London, did a master's, worked a little bit on the side, and then went to Salesforce, which was a fantastic chapter as well. Great company, massive growth. London, the biggest office outside the US. And then I learned again a lot. I was part of the go-to-market team and sales engineering, helped get deals over the line, build solutions that are relevant. And then after a few years, I said, sales was getting pretty big, 45,000 people or so when I left. And Clary didn't have anything in Europe. And they were just about on that kind of inflection point to raise more money. And they said, look, we want to grow in Europe. And I had the perfect background with knowing different languages, being based in London, knowing Salesforce, that I was the right man for the job to kind of work with a team and build the European business of Clary over 4 years. So I started in sales engineering. I took on more operations tasks over time, more strategy tasks over time, helped build different teams. And built that machine over 4 years that was really humming well at the end. And as I said, then I want my next growth thing. What's the next thing I'm going to build out of nothing? And that's my own company. And that's Salesmotion today.
How many people were at Clary when you joined versus today?
I think when I joined globally, about 220.
Okay.
And 0 in Europe, or one in Europe. And then when I left, about 800 globally, and I think about 40 in Europe. And that was a journey from series... just like a starting of Series D to Series F.
Okay, wow. And wow, that's amazing. What would be your best piece of advice for somebody that's just starting out? They want to quit their job and they want to become founders.
Oh, well, it's like with advice. I don't like to give too much advice because everybody's situation is different. So one of the advice would be don't listen to too much advice. Figure out what works for you, to be honest, because there's many advice or blueprints or here's the 10 things you need to do, all this kind of stuff. But really, you just have to think for yourself what works best for you and your situation, with your background, with your financial needs, personal situation. And that's how, I stopped following or reading even many of here's the 10 things you need to do, or here's the 15 things I do. I get up at 4 a.m. in the morning and do squats, and that's how
morning
I become
routine.
an entrepreneur. It's like at 4 a.m. I'm sleeping, at 6 a.m. my kids are waking me up, and then at 9 a.m. I start to work. That's against probably all of the advice you read on LinkedIn, but that's okay. It works for us. We're building a company. It's great fun. We're enjoying it. It's sustainable. We also have great lives with our families, my co-founder and I both, and that's what works for us. But it's probably 90% different
Opposite.
from what a Silicon Valley advice
Yeah,
person would give you
yeah.
if you're dropping out of college or
Yeah.
just graduating without a family and without without any interest in certain other things, so you can just fully focus on work, for instance. So I think that's my advice. Don't focus too much on advice. Really think about yourself, what works, and then you can pick pieces of inspiration from others. But there's no blueprint for you. You have to build your own.
Thank you so much, Semir. Those are my main question. Thank you for joining, and yeah, I'm really grateful. I wish
Yeah,
you the
my
best of
pleasure.
luck
Great to be
with
here.
Salesmotion, and I enjoy seeing your posts. Hope you grow it to a unicorn.
Yeah, well, one step at a time. Thank you so much. And if anybody who's listening wants to connect or learn more, I'm always available, like you said, on LinkedIn, or you can find me on salesmotion.io.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.